Those of us who work in the aged care sector often use a lot of acronyms, and sometimes we describe the care and support that we provide to clients by referencing a program, such as saying someone is receiving CHSP support or they're on a home care package. But we often don't give a lot of thought to what this means to others who are not immersed in the industry. So that's what I thought I'd address this week by starting out looking at the Commonwealth Home Support Program. If that interests you, then stick around and let's take a deep dive into the world of CHSP. Hi, I'm Carrie from Culturally Directed Care Solutions, where we give you the knowledge and tools to provide quality care with confidence. If aged care is your thing, then consider subscribing so you stay up to date with current industry knowledge. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's take a short history lesson. The Commonwealth Home Support Program, or CHSP, was introduced in 2015 and it replaced the Home and Community Care Program. It also incorporated a couple of other programs, including the National Respite for Carers, or the NRCP program, and the Assistance with Care and Housing program, commonly called ACCHA. This is why you come across variations in service types and age eligibility requirements. But today I'm mainly focusing on what we originally knew as the Home and Community Care, or HAC program. In fact, you might still find this legacy name used by some service providers because the HAC program started in the mid-80s, which means it was around for a really long time and it became synonymous with community-based aged care. With the introduction of CHSP came the requirement eventually for people to be registered on My Aged Care and assessed by the Regional Assessment Service, or the RAS. Up until then, people had been approaching service providers directly if they needed some help, and they were also being assessed by the service provider. Now, while this might appear a really practical approach in that it gets straight to the provider, it actually did lead to some inequality of service access and of people missing out on some needed services. And that's because people didn't always know who to contact, and service providers would usually only assess for services they were funded to provide. So this change did have some merit. Moving on to 2021, CHSP has pretty much stayed the same since it started in 2015, although we are starting to see a few small changes as we get ready for major program reforms planned for July 2023. But now you know the history, let's back up and take a look at what the aim of the program is and who it's aimed at. CHSP was established to support older Australians to remain independent and living at home, as well as helping them to stay active and socially connected to their community. It was done by providing them with basic care and supports. The program has been designed to provide entry-level aged care help. Now, to access general CHSP support, people must be over the age of 65 or over the age of 50 for people from an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander background. So what sort of help can be accessed? Many Australians say they want to remain living at home as they get older. Now, if we want to help people live independently and age in their home, then we need to recognise that sometimes they're going to need a small amount of assistance to get the essential things done. Perhaps a person needs some help maintaining their yard or home. Maybe they've lost their life partner who used to do these sorts of things for them, or they've just become frailer as they've got older and now they're no longer able to do it easily. So this is where the support provided through CHSP can help. Also, people might want to participate in activities that help them to become more independent, like perhaps someone who wants to learn to cook meals that meet their dietary requirements, or maybe someone who is looking to regain physical capacity or strength after an adverse event like having a stroke or knee replacement surgery. Gardening, house cleaning, learning to prepare and cook meals, working with allied health professionals, attending group activities. These are all support types that people can access through CHSP, along with other well-known service types that you've probably heard, like Meals on Wheels and transport services. But there are some limiting factors. Not everyone is able to access all the services they might need or want. Firstly, people need to be eligible for the service, because CHSP is all about promoting independence. And if a person doesn't need a service, they are very unlikely to be offered it. Secondly, not all providers are funded for all service types. Some providers are funded for one service type only, like Meals on Wheels or transport. Other organisations might be funded to provide a wider range of service types that include domestic assistance, centre-based activities, support to do shopping, banking or to get to appointments, day respite, nursing care, etc., etc. And this is where the independent My Aged Care assessment comes into play. Once a person's been assessed as needing a service, they can be referred on to an organisation who offers that specific service type. And then thirdly, there are limits on services available. With an ageing population and capped funding grants, service providers will often use up popular service types really quickly. So people might need to go on a wait list. People also need to understand that CHSP is entry-level care, and the expectation is that most people will only be receiving 1 or 2 types of services, which would most likely add up to around 2 to 4 hours of care over a fortnight. If they need more help than this, then the person needs to be assessed for a home care package, and we'll talk about those another time. Now, when a person is assessed for CHSP help, they will be approved for individual types of help, such as transport or perhaps domestic assistance. If as time goes by they deteriorate further, the person will need to go back to My Aged Care and be reassessed for any additional service types. For example, let's take a hypothetical client called Tony. Tony might start out just needing some transport because he can't get to the shops since giving up his licence. For a number of years, this suits him fine. But then he starts to become frailer and finds he can no longer push the lawnmower around his yard. So he goes back to My Aged Care and asks for some help with yard maintenance. He can only get this additional type of help once he has been reassessed and approved for it. People can also get temporary help through the program. Perhaps our friend Tony has a bad winter. He comes down with pneumonia and is hospitalised for a short time. To help him get back on his feet, it's recommended by the discharge planner at the hospital that he gets Meals on Wheels for the next 6 weeks. So she puts in a referral to My Aged Care. Tony gets assessed and approved by My Aged Care as a short-term referral, and then when he goes home, a local Meals on Wheels provider brings him a meal every day over the next month and a half. After the 6 weeks are up, Tony's feeling much better and can go back to cooking his own meals. This is the wellness and reablement aspect of CHSP. We covered this in more detail in another video, so if you can go check that out if you want to know more about that topic. I'll put a link in the description below and also link it here up on the screen. Now, it's important that people understand that CHSP is not free. It's a subsidised service. The Commonwealth Government contributes a significant amount towards the cost of delivering the services. However, those who can afford to are expected to contribute towards the cost of their care. Additionally, anything that is considered a consumer item, like the ingredient cost of a meal, is expected to be paid for by all people receiving that service, regardless of any other exemptions on fees. After all, if a person is getting Meals on Wheels, then obviously their grocery bill is going to be lower as a result. Now, CHSP funded services will always focus on working with a person rather than doing things for them, because the more that a person does themselves, the less dependent they are on a service provider, and the slower any deterioration in ability should be. Staff delivering care under this program should always keep this in mind and understand that they are a partner in helping their clients to remain independent. As I mentioned previously, CHSP will be changing in the near future, but as programs often build and improve on previous ones, I still think it's good to know about the CHSP program going forward. And for more detailed information about the Commonwealth Home Support Program, go check out the department's CHSP manual. I will put a link in the description box below so you know where to find it easily. And if you've found this video of value, please share it amongst your team or with others who might be interested in this topic as well. Keep your eye out for the next video in this series of aged care programs, where we will take a look at the Home Care Packages program. Until next time then, keep caring, and we'll be back soon with another video aimed at helping you provide quality care.